you straight from the south side. Mike, now you. I'm just so happy to be here right now. Real Rap Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back once again. New episode of Real Rap Podcast, man. A very special episode coming to you. I have to my right, gentleman by the name of Edward Hamilton Esquire. The Esquire is because he's a lawyer. That's right. If you wouldn't mind, sir, let the people know who you are, how long you've been in the city, and a little bit about your background.
So, Edward Hamilton, I'm from Chicago, homegrown, grew up on the south side, between Inglewood, mostly Auburn, Gresham, 75th and May. Hyde Park High School, some people gonna know me there, some people know me Calumet. Played sports, went through school, everything like that, and decided, you know what? I want to be a sports agent. Figured out a lawyer was probably the best course to do that. And I went back to law school and graduated in 2020. And I sworn in 2021, so just cleared my second year as a full-time attorney.
Mm-hmm. What was that day passing the bar like?
So my whole bar experience was different.
Mm.
So a lot of the times when, freshman year, you have people who pass the bar, people who are still in school, and they kind of give you the tips. Mm-hmm. And I just remember, everybody oh, the bar is going to be so hard. It's going to be so hard. You're going to have to study 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. And I'm like, oh, okay. But when it came to it, if you do the preparation in school, you'll be fine. My bar exam consisted of me not studying. And then I took, they had this thing called adaptive bar where you kind of quiz yourself with the questions. So that's really my only bar prep that I did. So I would break all the questions down and make my own essays off of that. But as I got closer, it was I don't want to, my main focus, and I've told this to a few law students and people who are preparing for the bar, and it works. Don't burn yourself out because it's a lot of information. You're never going to remember all of it. But if you try to, then you burn yourself out. Now the test come and you do horrible on the test. So I wind up, like I said, studied. Right before the exam, I wind up getting shot. So that really canceled all of my studying. And then after that, test came, took the test, passed the test. So.
Yeah. Well, damn. I mean, that was a hell of a bar experience. You wasn't lying. You know what? As a matter of fact, because I'm just now meeting this gentleman at the same time, so I'm not gonna dig too deep into his stuff. Maybe we get that to a little bit later. But I wanted to ask you, in regards to the bar experience, are you following along with any of this new AI software and whatnot that's coming out? They got ChatGPT, things of this nature.
Not familiar.
So, in the bigger scope, general scope of things, right? There's an AI software that kind of, if you ask it questions, me and Big Joe was messing around with it. You can ask it questions, and it's going to use its algorithms or whatever to spit out an answer. You can ask it to write you a screenplay. You can ask it to, have a conversation. It's kind of like Siri. Okay. You know what I mean? But an upgraded version.
Gotcha.
Well, lo and behold, there's one particular version of it passed the bar. For I don't know what particular state or area that it passed it in, but it did.
The AI attorney or something,
the AI. So I mean, for the most part, they could just dig in through the internet and then kind of mash things together to come out with a unique answer. And apparently, this was good enough to pass the particular bar. So a lot of people say for depending on what kind of work you do, computers are moving in, right? If you're building cars, if you're working at McDonald's, they got kiosks and whatnot now, right? Or if your internet's down and they got the text chat or whatever like that, right? Yep. But you never really consider it as far as human interaction that the computer's going to take over. Is that even a concern? Is that on the radar or whatever?
Like I said, I've seen the AI attorney or something like that, and I think they are trying to roll that out. But for me, just really understanding the legal field and really understanding being a lawyer, running a law firm, and what you need to do and how you need to do. Now, like I said, I've licensed since 2021, but I get a lot of calls from people that's hey, I had an attorney or I paid this attorney, I never hear from them. So it's just and my new situation is really teaching me that even more. It's just like running any other business. But, you know, of course, you had a professional side of it. But outside of that, a law firm is just a business, just like everything else.
Okay.
So the major key that you want to focus on is bringing some of the best service possible. Like, I get off the phone with people, or I get on the call with people, and they're like, you know what? I'm going with you. Like, you gave me the best service, like, right talking to you. You know, you kept it 100 with me. I like you. I want to go with you. And people sign up right then and there. So I don't think a computer can bring that to you. And then, you know, anybody from Chicago, like, I'm going to bring something totally different to you, because if you heard, I said I grew up Inglewood, Auburn, Gresham. So it's not like, you know, I don't know what's going on in the city. I'm not from the suburbs. I've been in everything.
And it sounds like you've already been in extreme situations yourself.
Been into everything. So I'm going to, even like before I became a lawyer and passed the bar, I worked at the public defender's office on 51st. And one of the guys, you know, he's like, man, they upset with the public defender. And I had to explain to him, like, look, bro, you know, this is what's going on. This is what the problem is, or whatever. And, you know, I'm talking regular language, regular lingo to him. He like, man, where you from, man? Like, you a lawyer? I'm like, not yet. He's like, man, as soon as you become a lawyer, man, call me. I want you to be my lawyer. So, you know, just being able to relate to people, everything like that.
How much of being a lawyer is what you know versus who you know? I asked that because I've been in court before with a public defender, and there was one time for the situation I had to hire a paid attorney. And boy, that paid attorney, he walked in there like silk toilet tissue. He was walking up to the prosecutor, smiles or whatnot. He was walking in through the back, like where the secretaries were staying in the front room, talking to this person, that person, shooting finger guns and whatnot. He might have went up and said like a word or two to the judge, and I was like, I just paid for his connections, is what it felt like. Like how much of that it plays a part.
So, difference with public defenders and a private attorney. I tell people all the time, like, they have this idea that all public defenders are bad, and that's not true. I worked, like I said, on 51st, and there was some great public defenders over there. Now, I have seen public defenders that aren't good, but I have seen public defenders that are great. The problem is, like I said, you're playing for service. As a public defender, I take whatever cases they bring to me. Wow, so I might have 100 cases, 200 cases. Private attorney, you know, it's going to cost more, so of course he's going to take less cases, but he can focus more on your case. So he might be able to comb through and find something that the public defender probably didn't, because they didn't go, you know, thoroughly go through your case. Not saying they don't, but just think about it. Like, if I have 200 cases, you know, I got this case, I probably don't have the time to go through the detail of every single case, and I might miss something. And unfortunately, it might be your case as a public defender.
Ooh, so it's basically the fast food versus a restaurant.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I got you. What's the different types of lawyers that there are, and what type, what category I would guess would you practice in?
So, you know, kind of any area of law you can think of, or most situations in your daily life involve some type of area of law. And, you know, we got different lawyers for that. Well, I came out, like I said, originally I wanted to go into sports agency. But when you go into law school, you're going to learn everything, right?
Okay.
That's what the curriculum is. It's going to tell you everything. Where you kind of learn more and you dig deeper, and then just the surface is you take up internships. You know, like I said, I knew I wanted to do some type of criminal, so I took an internship at the public defender's office. I also did small civil. I actually did my own personal injury case through one of my friends. He had a firm already, so I did my personal injury case through him. So I know, you know, personal injury. I've done real estate closings, contracts. That's initially what I started with, entertainment, because previously I managed artists. I did shows, promotions, and things like that. So that was my, like, in school, I was like, okay, let me jump right into this. And I just called up a lot of my people, like, hey, look, I'm going to school. I'm going to be out of school, you know, so I can come back. I can help you, because most people don't have attorneys. Even when they're in the industry, they don't really have an attorney. And if you do, it's just a guy you found off Google and you decide to start paying.
Right.
It's not your own personal guy that
you got 4.5 stars on reviews or whatever. Like,
yeah, I'm going to go with him. It's not somebody that you really know, really has your best interest, you know, and you can call at all times, because attorneys are expensive.
Yeah.
Like, some people, you calling me? You know, I'm marking this down as an hour.
Yeah.
But aside from that, like different types, they got corporate attorneys, just really any area. And I kind of try to practice in a lot of different areas. I've been pretty heavy with criminal defense lately, but anything contracts, entertainment.
Is that probably one of the more challenging ones? It seems like that's a lot of moving parts. Contracts, you're trying to get the best deal and whatnot. So.
Yeah, contract. I think anything where you're not in a courtroom is easier, and that's why I really want to get in the courtroom more, to kind of get that practice in and making sure I'm doing everything and I'm learning everything. So, but outside of the courtroom, yeah, I feel like it's easier because, corporate attorneys typically get paid more, right? So. Unless, you're solo, but that's a different story. But corporate attorneys, you can jump right out and 150,000, 200,000 right off the bat. But my thing, I like to have my free time also.
Of course.
So I don't care how much you're paying me. I'm not about to spend my whole day, all day doing work or working on one particular thing. So that's why it's like I feel better being able to work for myself because I can still make bread, but I still have free time.
Right. You had brought something up in there, and help me understand this as a layman, right? So you had mentioned like criminal and then civil. The only case that really comes to mind is like the OJ trial, right, where he was found not guilty in a criminal trial, but then found guilty in a civil trial, right? And I pretend to understand what that means, but could you give me like the breakdown on how that even plays out in that way?
Right. So criminal case, I'll give you an example. I don't remember all the OJ because I was, probably 6, 7, something like that, maybe 8, something in that range. But criminal case, somebody goes out and they murder a family member or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. But they're not convicted of it. Why does this typically happen? Because with the criminal side, you have a higher burden of proof. So it's beyond a reasonable doubt, right? I know everybody heard it a million times. So beyond a reasonable doubt, they couldn't find enough evidence to say beyond a reasonable doubt that this person committed that particular crime. Boom. What they'll do, a lot of, if that person testifies, anything like that, they'll take that info and they'll use a lot of that evidence from the criminal to the civil side. Civil, it's a lower burden. It's just like, I'll give you an example, like with felonies, right? When they start the case, before they actually charge you, they need to find out if they have probable cause to actually bring the charge against you. So you'll start off with a felony prelim. Most of the time, you're going to lose a felony prelim. Why? Because the burden is way lower than that trial when it's beyond a reasonable doubt. So civil cases is preponderance of evidence. So 50.1%, or 50.001%, whatever. Yeah. Anything slightly over half, that's enough to say, oh, okay, this person is going to be found liable. So that's the difference in it. So
the felony prelim is basically just to say, is the evidence strong enough to even bring a case, charge them with what?
Well, I say actually move forward with the case because they already charging you. That's why you're there. But I'll say to move forward with the case. And if it's not enough, then, or if it was some type of constitutional violation, sometimes judges will drop it right then and there.
Now, I've watched a lot of law movies, and if you bring me up, so if I'm OJ, right, and I just got found not guilty in criminal case, and then you're saying, all right, we're about to put you on trial for civil. Wait, the judge just said I'm not guilty. So how am I back in court again for the same thing? But you just changed the name from criminal to civil. Correct. How can they hop right back on with that? And how are they not using that on like everybody if you get out of on the first one?
So in some cases, most people, they could. You would probably be able to bring a civil case against people, but then you got to think about it. Does this person even have money for me to sue them? So it's like, why would I waste my money trying to sue them if they don't even have money to pay me? OJ, ex-football player, so they're like, oh, he got some bread, so we're going to sue him. So that's part of it, too. So
in my brain now, the easiest criminal is you're getting locked up, you could face a death penalty, you could this, that, and the third. Like, physically, your body is going to now be property of the state or the city or whatever. Civil is everything that you're worth or your... I can garner that.
Only financials. I'm cool. Criminal cases, you're gonna face some type of deprivation of your liberty, and possibly life in some states, but deprivation of your liberty, yes. Civil cases is just financial.
Okay. Now, I by all rights should be paying for this information right now, but I wish I would have met you a long time ago. So I'm driving around, right? I'm in the car. I get pulled over. I might have something in there. I might have powdered sugar for my donuts later, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's illegal to have powdered sugar in this city, by the way. So I get pulled over. What are my rights at that point in time? Let's assume the cops are gonna just say I ran a stoplight or whatever, or they're gonna have their reason to pull me over. Immediately, what are my rights? I'm getting pulled over by the police officer.
I mean, so my step is one, why are you stopping me? That's the first thing, and we know they'll make up some type of traffic violation.
Sure.
And that's all they need to stop your vehicle, a traffic violation. So now you stop me. Now once you're at my car, you're supposed to write me a traffic ticket, citation, whatever the case may be. That is the purpose of this particular stop. But we know that's not how it always goes.
Sure.
So once I'm stopped, right, before they can find the powdered sugar, they would need to search my vehicle. They would have no reason to search my vehicle just by way of stopping me for a traffic violation, because everything dealing with that traffic violation should be within the scope of the traffic violation.
Okay.
So you want my license, you want my insurance, you want to check for my warrants, you can do that. That's still within the scope of the traffic violation, right? But where it gets tricky is step out of the car. Right?
Yes.
Because we know that's what happens. Step out of the car, let me talk to you. Or,
smells like collard greens in here.
Right. Now, that's a different scenario. It smells like the greens, or the other one that they like to do is they see alcohol. I see alcohol. I smell alcohol. Because if they have probable cause to believe that you have, some type of crime going on. So the crime would be I'm driving under the influence.
Right.
So evidence of that crime, that's a warrant exception. So I can search the vehicle from that point. If I see or I smell the marijuana, they want to say, oh, you're illegally transporting it. And if you're illegally transporting it, then that's, evidence of a crime, and I can search a vehicle from that point also without an actual search warrant. So those are, the ways that they like to get people out of the vehicle. But where they mess up, sometimes they snatch you out of the vehicle and you don't have, marijuana, or you don't have whatever the case may be. And now they're searching your vehicle illegally and they find something. That's where the job gets fun, because you never had a reason to search that vehicle. Right? So now it becomes an illegal seizure. So in the sense of the word, once they stop your vehicle, technically it is a seizure, but they're allowed to do that because of Terry v. Ohio. So they have the ability to stop your car for a temporary detention. It's Terry v. Ohio stops you on feet. The long case stops you in a vehicle. It just basically says the Terry principles apply to the vehicle. And that allows them to stop you,
right.
Whatever. But for the most part, police typically won't have if you don't have marijuana in the car, right? They can't smell the marijuana and say, oh, he's illegally transporting it. They shouldn't take you out of the vehicle. And then also, if they don't see marijuana, they shouldn't take you out of the vehicle. I mean, alcohol, they shouldn't take you out of the vehicle. But those are the things they try to do to say, oh, you were doing these particular crimes, and now I'm taking you out and searching for evidence of those particular crimes. But, like I said, if they don't have those and you've been out of the car, just get you an attorney. It's probably going to be a Fourth Amendment violation more than likely. File a motion to suppress later on. And then, case will probably be tossed out. It's a good
So
chance.
If they're playing by the rules and they don't just make believe they smelling greens in the car, make believe this, that, and the third, then at that point in time, you can respectfully ask, like, hey, you're pulling me over for traffic thing, this, that, and the third. Once that process carries out and they write you the ticket, then it's all said and done with.
You gone. That's it.
And if they pull you over for that, but then they happen to see out the back of it, you might have something under the seat. Now that's fair play, technically.
Right, because it's another exception to the warrant requirement. So it's gonna be looked at, and they're gonna say, "Oh, this is plain view. I saw a gun in plain view." But guns are kind of difficult just to see them in plain view, because at this point, just say I have a gun under the seat. Does the police officer know if I have a Ford CCL? No, they don't. So it's still kind of some leeway within that also.
Sure.
But definitely drugs. We see drugs, and they knew it was apparent at that particular time that it was drugs, because they have to know that also to be able to say plain view, plain feel. Then yeah, it's fair game.
And so in that case, so now let's just assume you might have had something that you weren't necessarily supposed to have. They're pulling you over. They're detaining you. They call the backup unit. You got your hands behind your back. You're getting escorted to the car. Why, whenever I watch the first 48, they get into the holding tank and they give him a cheeseburger, some fries, 5 guys, you know what I mean? And next thing you know, I ain't mean to da-da-da-da-da, do-do-do, little nook and them, da-da-da. When in, again, all the lawyer movies where I went to my attorney school at was one of your first basic Miranda rights is the right to remain silent. Where's the disconnect? Because there's a show, the first 48. It's been on for like 48 seasons. And they never run out of people talking. Obviously, your first move is to say nothing. Can you please contact Edward Hamilton, Esquire, because I need some representation. But where is that disconnect, and how powerful is it to say nothing at all?
I was doing another podcast and they were wondering this too, and I'm like, honestly, I can't really tell you. I have no understanding as to why people continue to speak. Like, do not speak. You know, I'm telling them, even with a regular traffic stop, say the least amount possible. Because the police aren't being your friends. Just, oh, do you know how fast you were going?
Yeah.
Right? They not being your friends. So you be like, oh, I was only driving 55. Like, no. They're collecting information, right? So they can go back and they can use it against you in whatever type of trial it may be. So the best thing is always, you know, don't say anything. I think, like I told them the last time, a lot of people think, oh, you know what? I'm going to talk my way out of this situation. And you're really going to talk your way into the situation when if you just, you know, don't say anything, right? If you don't say anything, they don't know anything. I have a DUI case, and we just got the video in, and we were just congratulating the guy. Like, man, I'm really glad you didn't say anything, right? And now the officers, you could tell, like, they were upset on the video. He wasn't talking, but he didn't blow. Oh, I just get that out free.
I did. Hey, I've got 3.5 DUIs on them. I don't drink anymore, but I in my last one, I didn't blow, and that's the one I had to pay lawyer for, and I got all, you know, I had to do a little bit of community service, this, that, and the third.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, wait, this, yeah, I didn't. I was like, I didn't want to because she pulled me over. The cop pulled me over bogus, so I was like already in my feelings.
Right.
And I was like, I'm not going to blow. I just don't want to do anything you're saying right now. But that ended up working out by mistake.
Exactly. Some people think, oh, no, you know what? I only had like a beer or two. You know, I ain't really drunk. I'm good. I'm going to just show them so they can let me go. They're not going to let you go.
Yeah.
Because it's discretionary. If they want to take you to jail, they're going to take you to jail.
Once they call it in, is it even possible for them to like let you go at that point in time? Do they even have the power to do that?
Well, I'm not, you know, I don't know too much about their procedures, but... you know, we worry about working around them, but don't blow, no sobriety, nothing, because then all they have is observations. Oh, this guy, he has because every police report is gonna say bloodshot red, glassy eyes, strong odor of alcohol emanating from the vehicle. Like, that's the language that they're gonna use every time. But if they don't have anything to say about a test, even though the test, you know, it's subjective because it's the officer saying what he believes is going on with this test, right? So it's still subjective. But when you start to compound all of those things, it's like, okay, now the judge is going to say, okay, well, he had all that going on. He did the test. We saw he was stumbling. I'm going to believe he was guilty. Or a jury, you know, a jury might say, I believe he was guilty. He blew over the limit. You blow over the limit, you can almost cancel it anyway, because that's right there, the elements of the statute. But at least if you don't blow, you have a chance, right? Because if I'm not falling down and all of that stuff, and I'm looking, you know, speaking to the officers, he asking my name or something like that, I'm speaking pretty well now, I have a way better chance of beating the case. Like, flat out beating it, not, you know, taking a deal or anything, flat out beating it.
When they ask you to exit the vehicle, though, those are lawful. Are those considered lawful orders? Or because I know I see people they can get hostility on the grand videos and whatnot. I ain't stepping out of da 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 da.
Yeah, it's kind of pointless. I tell people, like, there's no reason to argue and, you know, try to have a court,
because they'll find a reason.
Yeah, I'm not doing all of that with the police. Like, they stop me now, right? They can ask me out of the vehicle. That's fine. Oh, do we have consent to search your car? No, you don't. I
There you
ain't
go.
got nothing in my car, but you just don't have consent to search my car for what?
So
You know?
civil disobedience.
Yeah. So, yeah, I would say license insurance fine. If they want to ask you out, because what they'll say is a safety concern, and they do have a lot of latitude with officer safety when it comes to traffic stops.
Sure,
But
yeah.
that's still something that you will argue, in court. So.
I had a question about, so, I got cell phone, you got a cell phone. I got plenty of apps on there, right? And a document that you probably worked on is the first thing when I download it. It says terms and conditions. For all I know, it says that my fourth born child has to be named TikTok Graham. And it would hold up in court, right? Because I just don't care. I just whoop 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 pink. You know what I mean? And some of these, forgive me for saying this, Ma. Some of these are like banking apps, things of that nature. You know what I mean? Or Bank of America, Chase will send me like we've updated our terms and conditions and da 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 da. Do you accept or decline? And it's 28 pages of this, that. It looks like Shakespeare wrote it, and I'm like, but bink, agree, right? Do you do the same thing as a lawyer? You're like, I got you guys.
Nah, it depends on what it is, but most of the time, no, I'm reading through my contract for sure. It was funny. While I was in school, I bought season tickets to the Orlando Magic game, right?
Okay.
And they had a contract, and the guy's like, "Oh yeah, don't worry about it, just sign it." I'm like, "Nah, I'm gonna read everything on here." So he was like, "Yeah, you get to pay, half now, and you pay the rest by this date or whatever." And I'm like, okay. Just give me a second. I'm gonna read through it. So I'm going through it, and I'm like, okay, the date you gave me is wrong. The amount you gave me is wrong. And he's like, oh, don't worry about it, man. Don't worry about it because So we wind up getting it corrected, and we got the deal done or whatever for the tickets. But he was like, man, like I've had like lawyers, law firms, doctors, everybody come here, and nobody has ever caught that before. Nobody's ever caught that before. It is funny, like. I was working with an artist, and she was doing what were we doing? A publishing deal. And it was like some huge firm in California. They I think it said they were ranked like the second largest entertainment law firm or something like that, and they sent over some paperwork, and I'm like, okay, everything looks good except for this one particular part. Like, we need to get that changed. And they're like, oh, we didn't even see that. We didn't even catch that. We're so glad you caught it. I'm like, hey, y'all didn't catch it, But
wow, right.
But these major artists, you know what I'm saying, like industry artists,
Yeah,
and it was just funny to me. But yeah, I'm for sure reading through, man. I think regular, so that aspect of law is consumer law. I don't deal too much in consumer law, but definitely most of those contracts gonna stick. Maybe you have an argument if contracts of adhesion, but for the most part, consumers.
Is there any laws or measures holding an app company back from really abusing their terms and conditions? So I'm thinking about, I saw like a clip from Joe Rogan where he read through the TikTok terms and conditions. And for the most part, he was saying like they're basically, if you sign on with TikTok, they're saying they can go through your phone, they can monitor you across the web, they have access to your keystrokes, all kinds of crazy stuff, right?
So a lot of that stuff, they want to say, oh, we're doing it for marketing purposes, because that's how you getting all these ads tailored to you.
Sure.
You speaking about something, and now it's on your phone.
Right.
But the attorney generals do kind of keep them in check. That's why you've been seeing a lot of lawsuits, because if they utilize that information for, to invade privacy to a certain extent, they will be sued, because you have.
I think Facebook's being sued right now for that exact same thing.
Facebook, I think Snapchat was. It's a few of those larger companies like that. So there are checks, but it's usually like to the extreme. Facial recognition, things like that. It's like. But like at a low level, I'm just stealing your information for marketing.
Sure.
Not really an issue. Because you said I could use it, so. Because you did have the ability to say decline, right?
Right. It's a voluntary thing. So yeah, that's a tough one. When you see, and I don't know really because it's still kind of fresh. and there's a lot of videotape evidence, but they have the Tyree Nichols situation right now. I mean, your overall opinion, those police officers really don't have a leg to stand on, huh?
You know, they gonna throw out so much. I haven't seen all the videos. I did watch one, and I kind of, it's like, this is ridiculous.
It was tough to watch.
Yeah, but it's like, I know what's going on. We know this happens. Same thing. I was just on the other podcast, and I was telling them, like, I remember, I think I was like 17, and I took out from the police, and they had like the whole district trying to find me. Finally called me, and they, they getting ready to take me to the station. And they first thing do is say, "Oh, did y'all take him in the back and beat him?" Like, damn, y'all finna. I really didn't even do anything, right? I think we was outside shooting dice or something, and cops come, everybody scatter. So they like, "Oh, we know you had drugs, we know you had guns," and I'm like, I ain't had nothing. And it's like, damn, you trying to go and beat somebody because they ran from, "Oh, you made me chase you, I'm finna beat him." Like, it's ridiculous, but it happens. But back to Tyree
What I
Nichols.
found interesting, I think, is I'm pretty sure Buddy in Minnesota with the knee on his neck, right? That I believe that officer, they charged him. I want to say they charged him with first, and if I'm wrong, there's other situations where they charge the guys with first degree, and it's like that's a bigger burden, I would assume, right? And with these guys in particular, they charged them with like kidnapping and second degree.
Not a bigger burden, just the different elements that you have to prove for.
Okay.
So
it's like premeditated versus we was into it and whoops.
Might be heat of the moment, yeah.
Okay.
Or heat of passion. I said heat of the moment, but heat of passion.
With that, so they have right now, is there lawyers on a global scale? I'm asking this, so right now one of the news stories I was following is they just ended up finding like that weather balloon from China. They believe it's like a surveillance balloon that was flying over. So he was on that global scale, right? That's kind of ugly when you boil it down, the whole political atmosphere and everything like that. Are there lawyers on a global scale, or is these just business conversations that they're having?
So, funny story, right? I learned about my last semester. I learned about an area of law that I didn't know existed, but it's actually cool. It's international law, and it kind of deals with how all the different nations govern and deal with each other. So definitely, like, my teacher, he was like one of the top international lawyers in the world. And so him, for some of his colleagues, for sure they have lawyers that deal with those issues. For the most part, like, everyday people not really gonna understand it. Not really gonna know what's going on. Like, people be like,
there's a humongous amount of moving parts considered, right?
Right.
Because we can be into it, but we still trade. We still have business, personal, military relationships, obligations.
Because we still got treaties, we got the conventions and everything else. So it's like, I can't really attack. Like, with that class, it was so funny because my teacher, we were just talking about Russia, right?
Okay.
And in the book, they talk about the situation with Crimea. And then just that area, and then for it to play out right after it, I'm like, damn, he was just talking about this. But like I was just telling you, like, when I was in school, I would look at certain cases and figure it out. So situations like that, I just go back, like, okay, what's happening with this? What's happening with that? Just even with the aid part of it, all of that, just plays in the international law. So it's pretty cool.
That is decent. So, big topic on the board today, these days, right, is racketeering influenced by, what is it? Is it criminal organizations? Right? So it came out long time ago. Then Giuliani used it to start taking down the mob in New York, right? Then it went away. Mob, for the most part, had to go, back into the shadows, still doing their thing, but not as prominent as they was before, right?
Correct.
Now all of a sudden it is
rappers,
number one tool for rappers, right? And the double-edged sword, I think a lot of people kind of understand it is a lot of these rappers these days. Your authenticity is your currency, right?
Mm-hmm.
You talking about something, it better be something.
Mm-hmm.
I better be able to check out the news in Atlanta, Chicago, L.A. and been like, oh, all right, on July 18th, just like in your rap bars, something. Now it makes it that much easier for law enforcement to connect these things. Yeah. So you're at the top of the heap when it comes to being a performer, right?
Mm-hmm.
With your guys, you're from whatever neighborhood, you're from the wood, you're from whatever, right? And you grow up. Now you still have a connection to your guys. They might be cousins, they might just be your man, they might have held you down, they might have did this, that, and the third, right?
Right.
They might still be a little bit more in the streets. You still might be, if you're a shot caller or not, you still might be, you're traveling to Germany, doing shows here, there, and the third. They get popped. They don't pay attention to the first part of the show, say nothing, and call Edward Hamilton Esquire. But now they start talking, right? How? Because I think the feds, they have like a 95% conviction rate or something to that effect?
I'm not sure, but I know it's high because usually when the feds come, they got enough for you. That's just how it is.
Is there any way even around it? Like, is this just going to be what's the kindergarten version of the RICO?
Me, haven't studied it that much, I would have to look it up and then I can get, information for you. But for the most part, racketeering, we have this group of people, they're doing this, particular thing, whatever the crime is, and everybody is working to further that particular crime. It's like a conspiracy, basically, but just larger.
Because if I'm at the top of the pyramid, I'm not touching those filthy drugs.
But I'm gonna connect you because I caught this lower level person. I connected him to him, and we study him. Just like the TV shows, BMF, how they're doing the whole chart, and connecting all the pieces. It's the same thing.
Sure. But once they get that going, there's really no way around it. Once they connect a dot or two.
I mean, the problem is, and you see it in all the movies. What was it, American Gangster? With Denzel, it's always somebody that talks, and that person is the link. Like if you get caught, you get caught, and that's what it is. But once you get to talking, because I'm telling you, like most of the time, when big investigations, the police don't have any information, any idea, but somebody gets caught, and now they're an informant, or whatever. I've seen a lot of cases like that. A lot of people I know have been locked up, just period, from that. So. That's pretty much how it goes.
When it comes down to like state versus fed, right? The biggest distinguishing difference between those two. So say for instance, like marijuana is legal on a state level, still federally illegal in the state of Illinois. Like again, that's one of those things like that's just I understand it, but I don't overstand it, right? And is that just a way? Is that just a workaround so that America can pretend to be like morally just because it's like, well, weed's still illegal. Is weed still like a category 1?
No, I think it's been reduced. But the thing about it is, going into con law, like the state, the nation, period, federal law. We're going to govern everything, but because we don't want you to have too much power, we want the states to be able to do different things individually. And that's, kind of where the problem comes in, because it's like, okay, well, we'll let the state decide if each state wants to do. And I think they're starting to do that with abortions as well. So we'll let each particular state decide how they want to play that. And it kind of checks the federal government from being able to say, this is the flat law for everybody. On every single thing,
Okay.
What I mean?
So if you're walking around for whatever reason, if you're a dispensary, right, and you have X amount of pounds, kilos of marijuana because it is your business, it's legal on a state level. You're paying your taxes, everything's still in cash. At any point in time, like if the feds for whatever reason they get a feather out their butt and they don't like the owner of that company. They're still within their legal rights to come swoop down and be like, well, this is federally illegal, Sorry about that.
So I actually went to the feds the first time, and I can tell you that's probably never gonna happen because they don't have time for cases like that. You know, they know like okay, he's regulated by the state. You know, he don't have a real issue. They fine with it. If you get to go into interstate commerce or something, he's shipping it out to other states. Then maybe because then you're going interstate. But outside of that, feds won't have time for that.
And I know right now they're another probably touchy subject. I mean, just about everything you deal with is probably a bit of a touchy subject. So they have the new gun laws in Illinois, right? With I mean they call them assault rifles, but I think AR stands for something else. But they have those new laws now that are banning it, but the state's still fighting it. Can you speak to that in any capacity?
Not I just haven't really went through it fully, but for the most part the issue has been Second Amendment gives you the right to bear arms. Most states, most people in the state, they're like, hey, I want to ban these particular things, and it's like it's kind of a fight. But with the Aguilar case, that kind of broke it open for Illinois because it's like, look, you can't outright ban someone from having a weapon. You just can't do it. And I've heard a little bits and pieces about it, but that's kind of what the issue has still been. Because anytime something is brought up, people gonna challenge it. People gonna challenge it. Just like the Safety Act, people challenged it. It still isn't into effect yet. Assault rifles, you ban that, people gonna challenge that. The student loan debt forgiveness, you ban that, people gonna challenge that. So sometimes you have to just wait and see if you get a final ruling on it. But that's really the argument.
Okay. Is it in my best interest when you ask me, hey, is it in my best interest to be like, yeah, that was me?
For sure. I tell people all the time, man, tell me everything. Because I need to be fully informed so I know how we need to strategize and attack it. Quick example, a guy, a domestic, and he's like, well, she didn't have bruises and this and that, but it's like, within the statute, it doesn't ask, does she have, bruises that'll kill her or something. It's just asking, did you make that contact? So that's why I'm asking you to tell me whether you did it or not. And then that's going to, because if you didn't do it at all, then okay, cool.
That's the way, that's the strategy going.
Right. But if you did it, because they're saying they got a witness, right? So now it's her and a witness saying that they saw you, and it's you saying you didn't do it. But it's like, do we really want to try to cross a witness that we know saw you hit them? Right? And then her saying the same thing. Now you look crazy. Now when you lose, you're mad. Right? So definitely I always tell people just be 100% upfront with me, let me know. Because like I told you earlier, the job is to get the best possible outcome for you. If that means beating the case, we will do that. But if the facts show everything was done right and your case is solid for the state, then we want to pivot and try to get you the best possible deal. If it's the case that, like, I know when you look on the internet and you see attorneys and they always posting up, a win and this and that, or you're hearing about cases, yeah, but you're not hearing about the cases that they settled. You know what I mean? Like they settle in a lot of those cases, and people think, oh man, I took a plea or whatever. In some cases, that's the best thing to do. If you're looking at, just say a UUW, you're looking at a class 4, 1 and 3, and police did everything right in stopping the car. They had a reason to search you. They found a gun on your person, like everything right. Then it's different as opposed to because if you go to trial on that and you lose, the judge has to give you between 1 and 3. But if you told me already, right, and I read through everything and I see the evidence and everything is 100%, the state's gonna get it, then it's like, you know what? Let's try to get this guy probation. Now you don't go to jail. On top of probation, let's try to get it reduced to a misdemeanor. So instead of even having a felony on your record, we reduce it down to a misdemeanor. You don't serve jail time. You go and do your 2 years probation, 1 year probation, whatever it is you get. You go on with your life, and all you got is a misdemeanor. You come back, talk to us. Hey, look, can I get this sealed? Yeah, we can seal it for you too.
Oh, gotcha.
So now it's like, psh.
So you got a trial date. You're representing your client, putting on your suit. You're about to head out to the courthouse. What's getting you excited, man? What turns you on about this job? Pause.
Me, Everything about it, bro. Everything
Is it
about it.
is it the
It's
arguing the case?
Yeah, just making an argument, knowing because just me wanting to compete, right? It's just like
Yeah.
I'm a sports guy, so it's just like a sport. Like I want to compete, I want to win,
Mm.
and I think at that time, like I said, when you go into trial, you should have a strong sense of whether you can win the case or not. Unless it's just a person that's just risky, like I want to try because I'm facing it a lot of years, so I'd rather fight it anyway. And it's like, okay, cool, we could do that, but I'm gonna tell you, like, look, it's not the best case for you, right? So you want to fight it, it's not the best case. It's a nice probability that you're gonna lose the case, but if you want to fight it, we'll still fight it. But for me, yeah, just
is it like you versus? Is it like you versus the prosecution or the defense? Like that's the other team on the court and the judge is the referee, or is it you versus the judge and the prosecution or defense?
Nah, most judges are just the referee, especially But you have to realize, like, judges were lawyers, so judges come from one side or the other. So they might lean a little bit closer to one side or the other, especially when it's like real discretionary things. And that's, what judges are important because it's like, okay, I could let this in, or maybe I don't want to let this in. And based off their, judgment, if you don't have the law specifically with you, right? If the law is like, then the judge makes that decision, and it is what it is, unless, you appeal it or something. But it's you versus the prosecution. Their argument, they saying that, hey, this guy was found with this and this and this, and you saying, hey, he was found with this and this, but not that, or maybe he wasn't found with that, or this person didn't see it the way they thought they saw it. Any of that.
Sure.
But yeah, judge is really the referee.
Speaking of judges, what's the overview of what the Supreme Court does in this country?
So state level, Supreme Court, they basically, it's like a judge, right? I'm making that ruling, so they are the highest level judges. So for the state of Illinois, right, I want to make sure when we have differences in opinions or different rulings on certain issues, like, everybody go to jail and they become a lawyer, right? So they be like, oh yeah, I found this great case and and I'm like, well, that case wouldn't apply because it's not binding in Chicago. So Chicago, for a court of appeals, is going to be the first DCA. But you bringing me a case from the 5th DCA, which I believe is like Southern Illinois or something. It's like, they don't care about that. They don't have to go by that.
Oh.
So just say first district, first DCA ruled one way, second DCA, the same exact question of law. Second DCA ruled another way, third DCA ruled with first, fourth ruled with somebody else, right? The Supreme Court will come in to make a final ruling on that particular thing. So now everybody has to go through the same area. They have to answer this question the same exact way every time. As opposed to, if I'm in Cook, it's going to happen like this, but if I'm in DuPage, it's going to happen like that.
And that's why probably it's a big deal how many are leaning left and how many are leaning right, because it's going to be according to their, like...
Correct. What from that point is really their discretion. They're going to look at, and I'll flip from Illinois Supreme Court to United States Supreme Court because it's the same thing. They're doing the same thing, but they're doing it at a federal level. And of course, once they lay that flat, it's for the entire country. So like I just spoke about Roe v. Wade, right? If you have all conservatives, of course they're going to want to overturn Roe v. Wade.
Because that's how they... And it's an offset, right? There's an odd number of them, so whenever the vote goes in...
Yes. I'm trying to remember the number. Don't quote me right now, but...
Maybe 7 or 9 or something?
I think it's 9. It's more than 7, though. But...
Because there's a majority. There's always a majority in
5, yeah, it's 9. I'm thinking 9 for sure because I'm remembering a lot of the opinions you'll have 5-4. But they just laying down the law. Yeah, 9. They just laying down the law for the country, and it's like because the same thing, right? Like I said, the DCAs within the state, but then you might have the circuits, the federal circuits. So I think we're in the 7th Circuit. So 7th Circuit might say this thing. 5th Circuit, I believe, is Louisiana. They might say that thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you got different things, different opinions on the same issue though, like the exact same issue, like whether this particular type of search is legal or illegal. And we say it's illegal, they say it's legal, right?
Yeah.
So, and of course, there still goes with, are we conservative? Are we more liberal? Because you're going to get a different opinions in different places. And now it's like, you know what? It's in the air. Let's get a final decision on this and let's rule on it like that.
I got you. Before we get to his information, I got one last question. How good did it feel when you flex on that girl that smacked the chocolate milk out of your hand back in like junior high school, and then you came back as a lawyer and just stunted on her? Like, how good did it feel to come back and be like, hey, Esquire, at the end? That's me right there.
For me, I don't know. I've always been a people person. People always gravitated to me, always liked me. So I've never been a person that wasn't liked too much. Girls in that respect, sometimes they have that secret like for you or something like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. To be honest, like,
you too good to flex on people?
People look at it like, oh, you're a lawyer, oh, you do your thing. I'm like, that's cool, But I ain't really like, oh, I want to flex on people. Because honestly, outside,
you really don't have to. It's flexes for itself.
That's what some people say. So, they like, once I got here or whatever, they like, oh man, you just so good, and I'd be like, man, it's cool. But me personally, I feel like I got so much more to do, so much more to accomplish. So that's always my thought process.
Did you see the change in people? Because people have to treat you different when you come back as hey, I ain't Eddie no more, sir. I'm Mr. Hamilton.
But that's not me though. That's not me. I'm still, hey, look.
But people still have to treat you with some kind of that you're a different thing now. Right?
They look at it like that. They take it like that. But I tell people like, look, bro, I'm still the same person. We're gonna be over at the crib playing spades or whatever. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm still the same me. Oftentimes you might catch me in the clerk's office or something, and I'm dressed, in my jeans or whatever, and people just looking, and it's like, oh, but when I flip out that badge, to skip the line, because everybody like, where he going? Why he not in line with us? But I flip out the badge to skip the line and go the other way down. They're like, he an attorney? So it's always funny, but like to me, it's just like, with the cops and they're like the blue line and all that. It's like it's just a job. You know what I mean? For me, it's just a job. Like outside of my suit in court, it's just a job. And it's funny because I really carry that even in the courtroom sometimes because, like I said, I'm still learning. So I carry that in the courtroom sometimes, and I can tell like some judges don't really like it. But I feel like me being up, yelling, hooping, and hollering, like I don't feel like I need to do that. As long as I'm getting my point across and we getting the job done, that's what really matters. What do I need to holler and yell like the TV shows for? That's not me. That's not in my character. Never has been. So I really, I'm just a laid back guy. I'm a laid back attorney. If you want somebody that's gonna be, get somebody else.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you like get somebody else. But me, I can tell you now, I'm gonna accomplish the same thing. I'm just gonna do it in a different way.
Something you said at the beginning, I think before we even got on camera, that I really appreciate is that, if you win the case, if you're innocent, by all means, that's what we're gonna do. If things are going the other way, then what you are actually fighting for is the best possible outcome. Because I used to think about that kind of ethical, moral, like dilemma of if you representing somebody and kind of just got that vibe, like I think Buddy guilty as hell. But you're not going in there like let me get an innocent person off. You're going in there thinking, hey, let me get you the best possible outcome.
Let me defend this person's rights.
Yeah.
Because like I had I think when I first really jumped in, I really just jumped in like you know what, I'm going all the way in criminal. Buddy of mine referred the case, and the case was a Class X. He had 60-30 on the table. And it was like, damn, like it's like my first real case.
Yeah.
I was just like, okay, let's do it, right? And did he have a gun illegally? Yes.
Okay.
Did that matter to me? No. Why? Because the police didn't do their job correctly. So police didn't really have a reason to stop him and search him. It had a phone call. Somebody called in and said, "Oh, this guy gave a description and all that. Said he had a gun." And the police immediately, when they get there, they see the person that fit the description and they want to search him. And I'm like, no, the law doesn't say you can do that.
Yeah.
So we wind up being the case off the motion, actually. So
I've definitely been in that scenario a bunch of times. Just growing up, your mom, like, you get in trouble for something you didn't do that time. Mm-hmm. Like, I've done it, but I didn't do it this time. Like, like you can't get me right now, man. You got to catch me when I'm doing it.
Right. So it was cool though. Like I said, did he have a gun? Yeah. Was he not supposed to have a gun? Yeah. So technically, he was breaking the law or whatever.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really matter.
But there has to be that clear divide that you got to play by the rules, like
exactly.
Because that's what if you're not playing by the rules and the whole system is kaput.
Right.
That's why Batman don't kill nobody.
Jim Crow laws and everything else.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, come here. You did
this.
Yeah.
Vagrancy laws and all that other wild.
So.
Yeah. Well, do me a favor. This has been spectacular. I've got an overload of information. If you could, Mr. Hamilton, let the people know how they can find you, all the ways they can track you down, your socials, and the best reasons to want to get in touch with you.
So Facebook, Hamilton Law Group Chicago. If you type that in, you'll see it. It's a H, blue H with the logo. My name on there is Edward CEO Hamilton. Instagram, New Vision CEO. All of the CEO stuff still come from like my music days, but yeah. So I'm probably gonna start a TikTok, but I don't really function with it. I'm not on my social media. People get on me because I don't post enough stuff.
Yeah, because you're busy.
Yeah, and it's just like I don't have time for that. But
are you still representing entertainers on the whole, or like when it comes by? Okay.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
So hopefully I can get a gold plaque from Tink. I saw it went gold. I ain't really contacted her, but
from Tink.
Yeah.
I remember that name. I said I remember that name.
Yeah, she doing quite well right now. So
okay.
Hopefully it goes platinum, but whatever the case, I know it went gold. I need to get my plaque. I'll be contacting her. Hopefully she watched this. Like, hey.
That's what's up.
But yeah, I still rep entertainers.
Okay.
But if we just talk of services, criminal defense, personal injury, real estate, I've represented buyers. I'm actually gonna represent my first seller within the next month on a real estate side. I was approved to be an attorney agent for that. Contracts generally, like business, I do business setups, trademarking, copyrights, all of those things. Like I said, with school, it's general, but you kind of dig into certain areas, and that's how you, learn more about them and things like that. So that's why it's a lot of different areas. But family law, I don't do it. I know a lot of people like, wait, I got child support issues. I don't handle those. But I try to get my flyer up or something like that.
Okay, absolutely not. Big Joe's gonna throw his information up right about here.
Appreciate you.
But yeah, otherwise, man, it's been a dope experience, man. I appreciate getting to talk to you, man.
All right, appreciate you all having me on. And till the next time.
Yeah, Real Rap Podcast bringing you more like this. What more could you ask for, people? Make sure you smashing that like, share, subscribe. Keep checking us out for more content like this, man. Real Rap, love. Mike, you. Straight from the south side. Mike, I'm just so happy to be here right now. The Real Rap Podcast.